Did you know that Bloodlines 2 was announced over 6 years ago now? I'd forgotten this. I had to actually just go back and check. It was March 2019, so we're not that far away from 7 years. And that's if it even comes out at the end of the year as promised. I mean, surely there's no chance of an 8th or a 9th delay. They've promised this time they're organised and nothing can possibly go wrong. It's going to release, it's going to come out. And you just think about that period of time, like Troika Games, who made the original classic, they weren't around all that long. They were around for 7 years or something like that. And I was just referring to the Bloodlines 2 announcement. It was obviously in development before. It's had like an 8 or 9 year dev cycle. That's the level of development hell. It is getting to Duke Nukem Forever levels. I'm sure there's many other examples like that, but Troika Games was only around for like 8 years, so Bloodlines 2 itself, it's taken longer than the entire history of Troika as a company, and they released 3 fantastic games. Arcanum, Bloodlines, what was the other? Temple of Elemental Evil, or something like that, Dungeons and Dragons. So all that talent, all that work, what they were able to do, and these days we just get these Bloodlines 2s of the world, Avowed and the Outer Worlds 2. Things have deteriorated, that's for sure. These long dev cycles. And then these same devs whinge about AI taking over and making development times shorter. You fuck this up for everyone because of how much that you just dick around and clearly do nothing of worth. We just want more games, please. Good games. Not these endless dev cycles for mediocrity where the game becomes not really something that you're looking forward to. It's just a punchline. Eventually, it's just used for comedy, to think about and laugh and remember. Oh, remember that time the devs totally stuffed up and we could point and laugh at their misfortune, their incompetence. That's all Bloodlines 2 seems to be now. And it's quite interesting because the devs seem to agree with me now. They seem to be on the same page as us, the potential audience. They're in on the joke now because one of the devs, they are in the marketing department, but I'll just call them devs because everyone calls themselves a dev, even if they're a narrative writer. They're a developer, even though they don't really know anything about games, so we'll throw the marketing people in there as well. But we could see here, Bloodlines 2 isn't a greatest hits, as a redo isn't desirable, says VTM boss, the boss of, what is it? Is he the boss of Paradox or something? I'm not quite sure. World of Darkness, I think it is. Now, what we're going to be getting at here in this interview is this isn't the first time something like this has happened. A few months ago, I think there was a new CEO for the publisher of this game, Paradox, and he basically implied that Bloodlines 1, it actually wasn't that good. So everyone's excited for Bloodlines 2, they've got expectations, they're expecting something decent. Maybe even an RPG, that'd be a crazy expectation, just something along those lines. And the CEO said, well, you shouldn't expect that because the original wasn't even that good anyway, so we're going to try and do something a bit different because you've got nostalgia goggles on. It's not going to stop us from using the name to try and sell the product and trick fans into thinking you might actually get something that not even lives up to it, but at least tries to do something similar, given we're putting the number 2 digit on there, where we're trying to convince you it's a sequel so we can get your money. Despite that, it's not going to be anything like that, and it's your fault anyway, because you thought some old crap game from 2004 was good. It really isn't. That's what I'm telling you anyway. I mention that because that is the exact same argument this marketing person is going with. So it seems like it wasn't just like a dumb, out-of-touch CEO comment. He walked into a new role and just said something stupid. He didn't understand the gaming space. It seems the entire organization doesn't understand the gaming space, doesn't understand Bloodlines, doesn't understand what people want. In fact, it's worse than that, I think. It's kind of malicious, where they're just angry that there are people with expectations. They thought, oh, we're just going to put out a Vampire the Masquerade game. We'll chuck the Bloodlines name on there because our statistics and our spreadsheet said we'll make more money if we do that. More people will get excited and buy it. But you guys are super pesky because now you've got expectations on us to actually deliver something you want. We've advertised that this is a sequel, and you, the audience, have the nerve to expect something along the same lines. Fucking customer, so entitled that That's the mindset, it seems to be. Customers are they're just entitled. How could they do this? So in this interview, the much beloved Jason Carl, White Wolf's brand marketing manager, is beloved. So certainly not a shill article by any means. No, this person has fans. So the focus with Bloodlines 2 is on moving forward and forging a new path for the brand after a busy but somewhat underwhelming few years. So I guess that refers to the development hell. This has taken a long time. I think that the original Bloodlines is one of those video game experiences that happened so long ago that the circumstances of its release are, if not generally forgotten, at least misremembered or misinterpreted, says brand marketing manager Jason Carl. Now, this is the same crap that CEO was pulling, where it's like, oh, you guys played that game 20 years ago. You can't even remember it. It's like a figment of your imagination. You've imagined that you're having this immersive vampire experience. No, you didn't. It was 2004. The graphics were crap. Nothing worked. You're just being silly. These people, they don't go online, obviously. They're not part of the Vampire the Masquerade or even just gaming culture at all, because if they did do that, then they would understand the meme that has gone around the internet forever, which is every time someone mentions Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, someone reinstalls it. And while it's a meme, the reason it's used is because a lot of people replay this game. It's one of the greatest things about it is the replay value. It's not one of those RPGs where, yeah, you make a few different choices, but it's kind of like with Telltale games, they're not RPGs, but this happens with role-playing games as well, where it's like, oh, I chose the different dialogue option, but the NPC just gave me the same response anyway, or there's 2 or 3 different endings, but 99% of the game is the same until you get to the end. Bloodlines 1 isn't like that. It is a fundamentally different experience depending on your class and some of the choices that you make in quests. There's lots and lots of ways that you can go about it. So, lots of people replay it, even to this day in 2025, and they love it. Doesn't matter that it's old, that it is janky. Obviously, fan patches have helped it along and make it a bit funner to play than back then. But fundamentally, the experience itself, it's like a diamond in the rough. It's very unique. You can't get that experience really anywhere else because of the amount of choice making that there actually is, and it's a vampire game. There's not so many of them. Most RPGs, sword and sorcery and so on, you don't get a lot like it. So people do replay it. So they're not going to buy this bullshit that they just have nostalgia goggles on. Yes, there's flaws. People can acknowledge those. It mostly comes down to the game being rushed and the devs not having enough time. As I mentioned, Troika didn't exist for a long time. They got closed down, so they didn't have a chance to really finish it. They're not going to buy that, oh, we just forgot, we misremembered, the game actually sucks. I love what the Chinese Room are doing, where the writing quality itself just resembles something from Life is Strange or something like that. We're going for that sort of tone. A little bit different. Not quite the maturity of the original Bloodlines, where pretty much every character is super memorable. Haven't seen that in Bloodlines 2. Not a lot to remember from the 20 minutes of gameplay footage they've actually shown, and then the clown announcements, where they were showing 6-second clips of what goes on, and we haven't had a lot since then. Maybe they have released footage since, and I just can't remember. It's gone under my radar. I don't really care. They've killed the hype, I think, for just about everyone. Again, it's just a joke now if we remember, because we want to poke fun and laugh at it. But the short of it is, this is a terrible excuse, and it's the worst marketing strategy possibly ever, which is, we've literally put out this game with the title of Bloodlines 2 because we want the old fans to buy it. And we just kind of know if we just put out another Swan Song or just a random Vampire the Masquerade game, it's not really going to bring that many people in beyond the core fan base who already buy these games. And they don't sell that well, it's still a little bit niche. So to get more people in, we put the Bloodlines name on it because we know there's a lot of people. I'd say I'm part of this audience. I don't care that much about Vampire the Masquerade. Part of the reason is whenever I see any of these clowns in the World of Darkness team, they just look like your typical Twitter folk. The sort of people you just want to steer clear from. So I've never cared that much about World of Darkness. I'm just someone who loves role-playing games, and Bloodlines, the video game, is a fantastic game, whether it was Vampire the Masquerade or it wasn't. It was just such a well-made game. That's what pulls me in. So that is what pulls me in to a potential sequel. That's what got me interested in the first place. And I think there are a lot of people in that boat. They don't care that much about Vampire the Masquerade. They're here for a sequel to Bloodlines. So that was the original marketing, to bring people in. And now you've pulled the rug out and said, actually, no, Bloodlines, it's not that good anyway. Are you stupid? We've got a much better take on it. It just so happens that it was in development hell for a long time, so our version, the Chinese Rooms version, was sort of rushed together. In fact, that was the development pitch to the publisher, is, hey, we'll make a game on the cheap, so you can recoup some of those losses from all the time you spent with Hard Suit Labs and Brian Mitsoda's team and everything. We'll make it on the cheap, but yeah, we promise it'll be good. Again, the writing looks atrociously poor. The gameplay is like some sort of Dishonored light, like just doing it in the cheap way. It's not going to be anywhere near the quality of Dishonored, obviously, but it seems to actually be a focus on combat, which is fine to have serviceable combat, but what made Bloodlines special was the choices. It was the characters. It was all those sort of key RPG areas, and they seem to have gotten all of those totally wrong. They don't know what they're doing with any of that stuff, so it's obviously going to disappoint. But no, just forget about the original game. We've got a new direction. Let's insult the original game. In fact, who cares about it? And he continues saying, what it has become today, the original Bloodlines, and what it means for people today is very different from what it was on release, and what it meant to people then. I think that's fascinating. It's got a legacy that casts a long shadow. I don't think this person is fascinated. I think that's a marketing buzzword, so that you don't have to say the truth, basically. Which for them is that annoying legacy of the original. It's a pain because people have expectations. We don't want that. We just want to release whatever we want to make. We don't care about living up to the original or even being like the original. Stop it. Please, just stop it. We're releasing our version, shut up. That's basically where the Chinese Room and Paradox are basically at now. And just all the bullshit, whatever he's saying here, you can just tell it's a marketing person. It's like what it has become today compared to what it was at the time. When it came out, it was not a big seller by any means. It flopped. I think Half-Life 2 came out the day of, or the day before, or the day after, or something like that, and kind of overshadowed it because of all the glitches. If anyone played it, many were probably put off. It was actually years later, and sort of over time, through positive word of mouth, that it became such a popular title in the gaming world, which again is why they're using the Bloodlines name in the first place. If you went back to when it came out, it probably sold 100,000 copies. You wouldn't make a sequel to that by any means. No way. You're just setting yourself up to flop. So it's obviously not about when it came out. It's the legacy over time. And so this person just totally misses the point, talks about people misremembering or misinterpreted. Most people who are fans had no idea that it even existed in 2004. They came in later, and I mean, if you're being generous, he mentions the legacy that casts a long shadow, but I don't think that this person cares at all about the original Bloodlines. This seems like a marketing strategy for some reason, that they just want to criticize the original and imply it's not that good, it's nostalgia, we need to do something different. What made Bloodlines the experience that people remember was a combination of many different elements, many of which were not intentional at the time. That just kind of sounds insulting, because you don't know what the original developers were doing, and it was a very experienced role-playing video game team. They made incredible games, again, like Arcanum, others they made before, like, there's Fallout DNA in that studio, for instance, as well. A lot of classic RPGs, and you sort of imply, oh, it was a happy accident. They didn't really mean for it all to work out. Like, come on. They coalesced into something that I think was greater than the sum of its parts, but it's hard to do that intentionally. So for us, the process of designing Bloodlines 2 started with really trying to dissect the elements of the original Bloodlines that still resonate today. That is another cop-out, where it's like, oh, there were good things in the game, but it was just unintentional, so there's no way to replicate them. It was everything that, it was like, they had an accident and it worked out, but there's no way that you could just do that again. It just seems like you're just trying to stomp on the legacy of the original developers, their talent, and everything that they did. It's like coming up with great characters who don't look ridiculous like Fire, or that you don't have like a Navi, like some idiot talking in your ear that you're going to have in Bloodlines 2. They're choices that you decided to make. And in the original game, you had great characters with great writing. That wasn't an accident. Someone didn't just get onto their computer and just type babble and then it worked out. Like, this was thought out, these characters. They felt like real people within this universe. They were interesting. There's some games where there's a lot of dialogue from a character and you just want to skip it because you're falling asleep. In Bloodlines, it pulls you in and you want to hear what they have to say. You're going back to them after the world's changed a little bit. You're going back to those characters, hoping they've got new things to say. That's the sign of a great RPG, when you're doing that stuff. You're not just trying to rush through the game. And something like this, Bloodlines 2, that's putting people to sleep, no one's going to be doing that because no one is going to appreciate what you've created because it sucks. Everything that you've shown is awful. So, I guess if you've followed the same philosophy, the only possible thing could be that the marketing team, this person's from the marketing team, they accidentally showed all the bad bits about the game and they for some reason, because everything was falling over, accidents were happening, they forgot to show the good parts of the game. That's the only way it could be similar, I guess. So for us, the process of designing Bloodlines 2 started with trying to dissect the elements of the original that still resemble today, and what made that experience so memorable. What are the parts that can't be duplicated or shouldn't be duplicated for modern audiences? There we go. And how do we make that work together in a way that delivers the kind of satisfying experience that people want, but without simply repeating ourselves? There hasn't been a game like this since 2004, really, and there was like a big lull after that in RPGs, especially in the mainstream, relatively bigger budget games outside of indie. Like, that was a pretty dead time when the Xbox was extremely popular. The PC wasn't so popular anymore. So a lot of these CRPGs kind of just disappeared. So the idea that, oh, we don't want to do that again because it's all been done before. Not really. Again, Bloodlines released and it was rushed. A lot of people love those sorts of games because they were pumped for what was going to come next. It's like, wow, Bloodlines 2 was so good. Imagine how awesome gaming's going to be in 2015. And then 10 years later, you're getting worse versions of those old games. Even forgetting the monetization, it's just copy and pasted shit game after game. You don't get the unique stuff that you got in a Bloodlines. So a lot of innovation was just dead. So you could easily have taken what was great about Bloodlines and just improved it a little bit. But instead, there's all this garbage about, oh no, it's impossible to even do slightly the same thing. We've got to think about modern audiences, so we're doing something else. We really wanted to take care not to issue a greatest hits album, or to repeat something that would become formulaic. Greatest hits album. This is how you know these people are not in games, and these businesses, maybe this isn't the case for this person, but you know what happens across the industry, and maybe this person's just an idiot. But greatest hits album, it doesn't make sense in the context of gaming. You just need to release something good. That's what we want. Baldur's Gate 3 was a greatest hits. It doesn't really do anything super innovative. I mean, a lot of the DNA of being able to interact with anything in battle and create crazy scenarios, I mean, that was kind of from Larian's own Divinity Original Sin series, and then everything else is just from Sword and Sorcery CRPGs. That was really it. They just did it well. That's all gamers want, and then you'll sell 20 plus million copies. But instead there's this crap about, they do it with movies and things as well. Like, we're making a sequel to Die Hard or something. But we don't want to make it like all the popular Die Hard movies. We want to do something else instead. We've got to do something totally different, or we'll be repeating ourselves. Well, that's what they want. That's why they got interested in a sequel to Bloodlines. What the fuck is... If he was saying it genuinely, then maybe there's an argument to be had or something, but they're just saying it because they know that no one likes their direction with Bloodlines 2 because it's nothing like the original. So they're kind of working backwards to make excuses, and This is their marketing strategy. It's quite sad. Especially when it says nobody wants to do that. Well, we want you to do that, and we're the customer. So that's what you should have done. And then maybe the game wouldn't have flopped. I'm predicting the future. It's going to flop. Oh my god, that's going to be a brave call. Bloodlines 2 had to be its own unique story. It had to capture the feeling of what it's like to be a monster. That's one of the core elements of Bloodlines, as well as Vampire the Masquerade and the World of Darkness. You are the monster, nobody else. All of these terrible things you're doing are your choices and yours alone, and you must deal with the consequences for good or for ill. Well, your character's a monster, but it's probably not for the reasons that you want. Like, the character of Fire is like an annoying librarian or a teacher that you remember from your days at school or something. Someone you just want to steer clear from because you know they've got an abundance of mental illnesses. That's what they look at. So that's why we're scared and we view them as a monster. It's not really what I think you were going for, but that's what happens when you hire people to a studio like the one making this at the Chinese Room, who are just clowns. They don't really care about gaming. They're their own little cult, and it's all about bringing their identity, politics into the studio. That's what it feels like from any of the development videos that I've seen. So I think you've missed the mark in basically every way. I think that the clear intention of our approach and the soul-searching about what's great about Bloodlines actually benefits how players see users. What they're getting is kind of the best of both worlds. Bloodlines 2 won't be the same experience that they knew in Bloodlines. I'm not even sure that would be possible or even desirable. What they get is the benefit of 20 plus years of hindsight. They get the experience of great storytelling elements, new modern development techniques, and a completely different story about Vampire the Masquerade from... What is going on? It's just the same thing over and over again. It's, you know, when someone's lying and they say too much. They say too many words and they get halfway through their story and things aren't adding up. You seem nervous. You seem like, you know, this game is going to be a flop. No one likes it. Everyone's concerned. Everyone's a bit concerned about their jobs because I think after this, it's going to be such a colossal failure that you're going to get booted up the arse out the door and you won't have jobs anymore because you're hacks. You had what could have been a surefire win. To be fair, a follow-up to Bloodlines, there's a lot of pressure. It's not easy. But I think if you had have had a go, even the original, which I think would have been a disaster based on the stories and people working on it, but you see the screenshots, it felt like they were having a go, at least trying to do what the original did. Whereas these people just insult it and pretend that they're doing this for some grander purpose. Like, no, we assessed the original Bloodlines, we dissected it, and this is why we're doing something different. No, it isn't. It's because you don't care about the original. You want to do something else, because it's easier, it takes less effort, it doesn't sound like much of an RPG at all. Certainly not a CRPG, at the very least. And now this marketing person, this beloved marketing person, as they say, is just coming up with random excuses for why they're not doing that and they're not making it like the original. They've got 20 plus years of hindsight. What does that mean? What have you learned? What does this game do that a game from 25 years ago, whether it's Bloodlines or something else, what does your game do that is better? Nothing about it looks better. It looks like the characters are obviously lamer. They suck, they're not going to be memorable. That's subjective, but I think most people are going to agree, so how subjective is that really going to be? Doesn't have the hub worlds, from what I've seen. Maybe there's a map. It's quite small, which I think is fine, but it doesn't look like it has those interesting quests where you can enter just about every building and it's unique and there's something to do. It's based on a quest. Someone's asked you to do something and then there's a whole mystery and things happen like in the original Bloodlines. I mean, the combat looks worse than Dishonored. That came out 15 years ago or something like that. So you haven't learned anything really in 20 years. It's just the same old tired thing that I've heard in the industry for a long, long time, where it's like modern game design, all these improvements that we've been able to make. Nothing's improved aside from texture quality, and that's why the game takes 10 years to make, apparently, and doesn't improve my gaming experience at all. This is just a whole lot of nothing. The marketing has gotten even sadder. They don't show anything about the game, it seems. Like, I've forgotten about it for the most part. When's it coming out? I haven't thought about that in weeks, in months. whatever. Like, I don't take you seriously even if you announce a release date, because it's just going to get delayed. Let's be honest. It's just something to poke fun and laugh at. That's how it's been for years. Thanks for listening. I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.